Mic check. We're checking in live from RTG World. We're going to talk about the Minoans. We might get into Mycenae or Mycenae, however you say it. But definitely, y'all see that Minoan civilization right here. Gnosis, art, religion, and myths. Learn about the Minoan civilization as well as the mythological labyrinth and the Minotaur that dwelled within. Excuse me. That dwelled within. Sometimes you can't hold your burp. Damn, is that the old ruins right there? Oh, shoot. That's wild. Yup. Gnosis Palace. So I just discovered a new location. So we're getting a nice aerial view before we dive into the tour. And let me see if I can get a map so we can see where the hell we are at. Aha. We are in Masara, southeast of the mainland. Large island. Alright, let's get into it. Welcome to the tour. Welcome to the virtual tour. Where else can you find this? It says Gnosis Palace. This palace, the largest of all palaces, was built in the 17th century BCE and is linked to the legend of King Minos. More than 13,000 square meters. It's made up of several rooms and a central courtyard. It's going to take us about 15 minutes on this tour. If y'all catching the replay, hit the like button. Support. I've been taking y'all through these different histories: Greece, Egypt, Baghdad, Britain, Ireland, Scotland, all these histories.
Welcome to Gnosos, traveler, where the Minotaur once prowled. Some say, if you listen closely, you can still hear echoes of the Minotaur's ferocious bellowing. Of course, it may only be a trick of the wind. Perhaps. Gnosos was the seat of the old Minoan civilization, where King Minos once supposedly ruled. These ruins have been the backdrop for many important events in both history and mythology. Look for me when your visit is over, and we'll discuss what you've seen.
Gnosis Palace. So we're making our way in. Let's see what we can learn.
The island of Crete was first settled around 8000 BCE. Over time, significant towns and maritime trade began to develop. Palaces were built, destroyed, and then rebuilt, culminating in what archaeologists call the Neopalatial period, which began around 1700 BCE. This period lasted for over 300 years and is considered the golden age of Minoan civilization. The largest palace of this period was located in Knossos and featured maze-like complexes of workshops, temples, courts, throne rooms, and living areas, as well as paved roads and advanced plumbing and draining. Trade and external relations were important to the Minoans, and their networks extended across the eastern Mediterranean. As a result, the people of Crete and the lands they traded with often influenced each other and exchanged ideas, usually through peaceful interactions instead of military conflict.
So this is a Knossos Palace facade painting by Balazs Baloch, United States. The below collection. So let's take a quick look what it may have looked like. It looked like Indians, like Native Americans. Arthur John Evans was an archaeologist known for his excavations at Knossos from 1900 through 1931. He was so dedicated to his work at the site that he missed his father's funeral to preside over the excavation of Minos Palace. Arthur Evans named the Minoan civilization after King Minos, but it is unknown what the Minoans called themselves. Alright, that's good information. So it's an exonym. Let's get another look really quick. You know? The Knossos Palace. Gotta get a nice look. Pan the camera slowly. Gotta make our way to the next checkpoint. Let me share this out. I know it's late. Impromptu. I was supposed to go live maybe a little more than an hour ago. But here we are.
The settlement of Knossos was established as early as the 7th millennium BCE. Today, one of the site's most notable landmarks is the palace ruins, located on the Kafala Hill. The ruins are split into two phases: the old palace, which has been poorly preserved, and the new palace. The new palace of Knossos had a surface area of approximately 13,000 square meters, making it the largest Minoan palace. Its focal point was a central court, which was probably used for ceremonial activities. The Minoan palace centers collapsed when Crete was overrun and conquered by a Mycenaean invasion from mainland Greece. However, the date of the final destruction of Knossos' palace is still unknown.
So, this is on the island of Crete. Look at this map, but here it's called Masara at the time. Let me make sure this is the same island I'm looking at on this map versus no, wait, I'm looking at a Google Maps. That's where Albania is. I'm trying to find. So you got Crete, but here it's by a different name. I can't even really fully see where I'm at. Okay, now I see what's going on. Laconia, then Crete. What is going on with this game, man? There's no way to... Oh, you know what? They kind of crunched it closer together. It's not really, you know, scaled correctly according to, you know, actual geography and measurements. So that's why I'm getting thrown off. But yeah, this is Crete down here. I'm pretty sure. Alright, part of the Knossos Palace. Arthur John Evans oversaw many architectural reconstructions at Knossos with somewhat mixed results. On the negative side, Evans' restoration of the throne room prioritized how it supposedly looked in the late Bronze Age period, instead of representing the full spectrum of its history. Evans also overemphasized the Minoan identity of the site, leaving out the aspects of Mycenaean culture that influenced Knossos' art and architecture. See, reconstructions. On the positive side, the site's reconstruction helped save many parts of the site that would have otherwise been lost. Moreover, while the restoration of some art and architecture was inaccurate, wow. The restoration of some art and architecture was inaccurate. He did help evoke the elegance and skill of Minoan architects and painters. That's still a problem, though. You misrepresent history. That's still a problem. You know, if you can't do it correctly, leave that shit alone. But you know, these people, man. That's people. Wow, let's get a look at these walls real quick. I mean, we can see the walls. Back up a little bit. It's pretty much the same thing repeated for the representation they got here.
During the New Palace phase, the ground floor was dedicated to economic activities and contained large storage rooms. The residential quarters, which notably had toilets, were located southeast of the central court, at the foot of the grand staircase. The palace was lavishly decorated with wall paintings depicting things like bull-related sports and richly dressed women. Large stone horns of consecration, which were important Minoan religious symbols, hung prominently in the west court. Other notable parts of the palace include the theatrical area, which is believed to have served as a viewing space, the tripartite shrine, which was dedicated to the worship of an important Minoan deity historians refer to as the Mother Goddess, and the Piano Nobile, a grand space located on the palace's second floor.
So that's a little bit about the layout. So this is a reproduction of the Ladies in Blue fresco by Emile Guillaume, Fils, 1927. This should have been from between 1525 to 1450 BCE, which is the Minoan period. It says one fresco excavated from Knossos in 1914, the Ladies in Blue, has been reproduced for New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art. The copy reproduces and embellishes fragments that were burned or eroded on the original fresco. Reproducing history. How we feel about that? I don't know how I feel about that. I feel some type of way.
During his trips to Crete, archaeologist Arthur John Evans discovered several ancient tablets. They eventually led him to define the forms of Minoan writing known as Linear A and Linear B. The Minoans used these forms of writing for recording many things, including business transactions. For example, one clay tablet discovered at the Palace of Knossos was inscribed in Linear B script. The tablet detailed the transfer of coriander, often used in the perfume industry, between a man named Kyprios and another person named Twinon. The deciphering of tablets such as these has given historians great insight into many aspects of Minoan culture and society.
So this says agate lintoid seal depicting wild goats. To the left, the seal. To the right, the impression made by the seal. Minoan art. During the Middle and Late Minoan period, Minoans buried their dead in a terracotta coffin known as larnacs. Many larnacs, or Larnakis, were found buried in a cemetery to the north of the town that surrounded the palace at Knossos. The coffins were shaped like bathtubs or chests and were often elaborately painted with scenes that were probably chosen for their funerary significance. They were also sometimes buried alongside valuable grave offerings. It's possible the coffins had domestic uses as well, functioning as either bathtubs or storage chests.
According to myth, the half-man, half-bull Minotaur was born after Queen Pasiphae slept with a bull sent by the gods as punishment upon her. This embarrassed King Minos, but he could not bring himself to kill the Minotaur. Instead, he hid the monster in a labyrinth constructed by Daedalus.
Huh, what is this crap? So this is Arbelos shaped like the head of the Minotaur. 580 to 560 BCE, archaic Greece. Depictions of bull leaping were prevalent throughout Minoan art, and bull leaping scenes are believed to have decorated the walls above ceremonial bull rings. However, the reasons for engaging in such an activity remain unknown. Mythical bulls like the Minotaur played important roles in Minoan iconography. This is likely due to cattle being a vital asset in the Cretan economy, especially during the Bronze Age. Bull and cattle are even mentioned in various Linear B documents. We got 3 more stations. This is called Labyrinth of Lost Souls.
Daedalus was an important figure in Greek mythology, an ingenious inventor. He once became so jealous of his similarly clever nephew that he threw him from the top of the Athenian Acropolis. As a consequence, Daedalus was banished from Athens, though this did not prevent him from being able to get work. In Crete, he was hired by Queen Pasiphae to construct an artificial cowsuit that would allow her to seduce a bull she was particularly taken with due to a curse from the gods. Daedalus complied, and his invention helped facilitate the birth of the Minotaur. Afterwards, Minos conscripted Daedalus to build the labyrinth, presumably as penance for his role in creating the Minotaur. But perhaps the most well-known story about Daedalus involves his son, Icaros, who used wings built by his father and flew too close to the sun, thus plummeting into the sea.
Icarus, yeah. So this is a cameo of Icarus and Daedalus with Pasiphae and Artemis, 1st century BCE from the Roman period. Much of the story of Daedalus as we know it comes from the Roman poet Ovid. While older versions of the story exist in ancient Greek sources, they vary wildly in their telling and often contradict each other when it comes to specific details. Okay. They got different editions, different versions of their own story.
Sometime after the birth of the Minotaur, King Minos' son Androgeos was killed in Athens by the same bull that impregnated his mother. An infuriated Minos demanded that Athens send 7 of their noblest men and 7 of their most virtuous women to Knossos every year. After being carried to Crete aboard a ship with black sails, the men and women would then be cast into the labyrinth to be eaten by the Minotaur.
Come on, man. Silver drachma of Knossos with Hera on obverse and the labyrinth on reverse. 300 to 270 BCE, which is the Hellenistic period. It says reparation. Athens donating of youthful men and women to Crete may have been based on a real payment of tribute to the Aegeans' dominant trading power in Bronze Age Greece. However, this is only a theory. Alright, last stop. What the hell?
One of the Athenian youths chosen to be imprisoned in the labyrinth, Theseus, had enough of the morbid ritual. Before leaving Athens, he proclaimed he would kill the Minotaur, then return to his city on a ship flying white sails. Before entering the labyrinth, Theseus met King Minos' daughter, Ariadne, who fell madly in love with him. Ariadne provided Theseus with a thread he could unravel to help him find his way back out of the maze. Armed with this thread, Theseus entered the labyrinth, killed the Minotaur, escaped the maze, and set sail for Athens with Ariadne by his side.
Alright. Attic black figure amphora with a scene of Theseus killing the Minotaur. 550 BCE, which is archaic Greece. The Minotaur's death. After successfully killing the Minotaur, Theseus set sail for Athens with Ariadne, but stopped in Naxos for a long celebration. Due to the many hours of feasting and drinking, Ariadne fell asleep and forgot to return to Theseus's boat, which departed for Athens without her. In another version of the story, Theseus deliberately left Ariadne behind. When Theseus realized what he'd done to Ariadne, he was so distraught that he forgot to change his ship's sails from black to white. When his father, King Aegeus, saw the ominous black sails on Theseus' ship, he presumed his son was dead, and fraught with grief, threw himself into the sea. Gotta make our way back to Herodotus.
I see you found your way through the maze of ruins. The Minoans played a large part in shaping Greek myths, but also in introducing influences from other places and cultures. Now, what else would you like to do?
Let's take the quiz.
You want to test yourself? Very well. Let's begin with a simple question. On which island was Knossos located?
Crete.
Yes, Knossos was located on the island of Crete. Time for another question. Which hero killed the Minotaur?
Theseus.
Correct. Theseus slew the Minotaur, then escaped the labyrinth thanks to some thread from Ariadne. Now for the last question. What did Daedalus build for Queen Pasiphae?
Ooh, I don't even know.
Daedalus built the labyrinth for Pasiphae's husband Minos, not Pasiphae herself.
I don't know.
Keep trying.
A cow suit, a giant, maybe wings?
No.
Damn, man.
Yes. Daedalus made Pasiphae a cowsuit, so she could seduce the bull she was cursed to love. Congratulations, traveler. You are a true student of history.
Man, I went 2 for 3.
Farewell, traveler. I hope you enjoyed exploring the ruins.
That last question tripped me up. Just snapped a picture. So we done unlocked Priscilla. Pretty sure that's what her name is, Priscilla. Well-known poet who wrote many varied works, from drinking songs to festival hymns. Alright, Priscilla. Let's see what's going on with this Minotaur. Oh, shoot. Dang, she's down there with the Minotaur. Alright, y'all, that's it. Hopefully y'all can catch this on a replay, get this information. This was good information, and we are out.